The next step is the recrystallization. So this is a purification step. So you're going to start with the crude product, 3,5-diphenyl isoxazoline. You're going to reform the crystals of it, so it'll form a purer form, and you'll have a superior product. So to start with, boil some ethanol. This is going to be the solvent we recrystallize it from. But we're not recrystallizing from water, but we're going to recrystallize from ethanol. So I have about 30 mils of ethanol boiling. Again, we used a boiling stick as well to ensure even boiling, and it's not going to bump over, and we can see that it's reached the boiling point. Then we're going to add the minimum amount of boiling ethanol to just dissolve the crude product. So we have our crude product in a conical flask. We're going to add the minimum amount of ethanol so it just dissolves. That's one of the principles of recrystallization, is to use the minimum volume of hot solvent. So the product dissolves when it's hot. As it cools down, it comes out of solution, and so you could then filter it off, and any impurities are left in the liquid, in the solvent ethanol. So add the minimum amount of boiling ethanol to just dissolve the crude product. Then we let the solution cool on the bench. The crystals of pure product should start to form in the flask. So again, we don't agitate the flask, we just let the crystals form. The slower the better, you get better quality crystals. Let it reach room temperature, and then again you can put it into ice to get even more yield. But a slow cooling is the best procedure. So wait for the crystals to form in ice. If they don't form, it might mean you added more than the minimum amount of ethanol. When you're adding it, so it should be the minimum amount of hot ethanol. Maybe you added a bit too much. So when it cools down, they don't come out of solution. So to get around that, you need to boil off about half that volume of solvent, half that volume of ethanol as a rule of thumb. So do that on the hot plate, and then again go through the cooling process again. Once you've finally got your recrystallized product, then you're going to filter off the crystals again using a Buchner flask and funnel. So set that up as before. Pour on the contents of the conical flask, which is the crystals with the remaining little bit of solvent, and filter that off, and you'll obtain your recrystallized 3,5-diphenyl isoxazoline. Scrape out the crystals on a pre-weighed watch glass. If you get a watch glass, one of these little glass dishes, weigh it first, then you know its mass, and then when you transfer the solid on and eventually weigh it again, you know by difference how much mass of solid is on there. So scrape it all out with the spatula to maximize your yield. And then you're going to put the watch glass in the oven at 60 degrees to dry. That should get rid of the remaining ethanol. And then you would then take it out of the oven, weigh it, so by difference you know how much solid you've got. Then you're going to collect a sample of the crystals after they come out of the oven in a melting point tube, ready to determine the melting point.